By now, we've all heard about the Keystone XL pipeline, the long-debated multi-billion-dollar venture to connect tar sands oil from Alberta, Canada, to America's Gulf Coast refineries. For years, the project was stalled, pretty much dead in the water in the Obama administration's State Department. But now, with President Trump in the White House, the project lives again. Our trip along the Keystone Pipeline Trail in Big Sky Country begins in northern Montana. We're talking extreme northern Montana, way up north to the Canadian-U.S. border. This is the Port of Morgan, 54 miles north of Malta, way up in Phillips County. This appears to be a pretty good place, I think you would agree, to locate an oil pipeline. It's virtually in the middle of nowhere. In fact, the Port of Morgan's claim to fame is that this spot has the distinction of being the furthest from any interstate highway of any place in the lower 48 states. Pretty much the definition of the middle of nowhere. And it's just to the east of here, pretty much right out there, where the Keystone XL pipeline would enter the U.S. from its origin up in Hardisty, Alberta. Crossing the U.S. border requires White House approval that the project is in the national interest. Unattainable when Barack Obama was president, but just 2 months into the Trump administration, it's game on.
Today I'm pleased to announce the official approval of the presidential permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. TransCanada will finally be allowed to complete this long overdue project with efficiency and with speed.
As we move forward, we'll continue to look to buy the rest of the materials that we need from American manufacturers. We'll put American workers to work, about 13,000 of them along the right-of-way to actually get this completed. So I think this is a win-win all the way around.
But here in northeastern Montana, the Keystone is not a sure thing. Although the pipeline skirts around the 2 million acre Fort Peck Indian Reservation, staying entirely on private land, tribal leaders oppose the project.
We've taken a hard stance on this. We oppose it from the first time we found out about it, passed a resolution, submitted it. We've never ever been at the table with TransCanada on it. They've never came here.
The tribe's main concern? Water.
Water is very sacred. It's life to us. I mean, it's like if we didn't have water, we wouldn't have life.
Ironically, the reservation's groundwater was poisoned by millions of gallons of oil field waste dumped on the reservation for decades, dating back to the 1950s. The poplar plume, as it's called, forced the tribe to build its own state-of-the-art water system.
It's our only option right now because of the contaminated groundwater. We've had to take matters into our own hands to ensure our own survival and healthy survival at that.
Today, the $300 million Fort Peck rural water system provides good quality water to 5 counties, soon to serve as many as 30,000 residents. Which brings us here to the Fort Peck Dam. TransCanada's pipeline route would cross underneath the Missouri within a few miles of the dam's spillway. Too close for comfort for those downstream.
Just a straight path from that pipeline right to that intake to contaminate our whole treatment system if pipeline's compromised, damaged, fails, terrorist attacks. I mean, you can't rule out anything really nowadays.
Tribal officials have asked TransCanada to consider several alternative routes for the Keystone's Missouri River crossing, all downstream of its water intake. And while the two sides have spoken over the phone, nothing has changed.
I feel I'm pushing against a brick wall because it sounds like we're screaming into the gym with no one there but us.
Tribal members have conducted 2 prayer marches to help draw attention to their concerns with the Keystone's Missouri River crossing, the most recent march held this past weekend. Coming up tomorrow night, part 2 of our special report, we'll be checking in with community leaders in Circle, Glendive, and Baker to get their perspective on the Keystone.